Okay, guys, winter has arrived. It's not officially meant to be here until the 22nd of December, apparently. That's when it begins, and it goes into March or thereabouts. So this is officially still autumn. But I tell you what, if you're like me, it's absolutely Baltic outside now. I get to the point where I think I should start wearing thermals and boots and all my stuff that I was wearing on Everest and Kilimanjaro. That's how cold it is outside, it tends to be. But the top tips for winter, if you are thinking of moving this winter, here's the top tips for you. I mean, winter has announced the arrival of the recent Storm Arwen, causing damage and chaos across the country itself. And while many of us batten down the hatches during the cold winter months, some of us are seeking to start the new year in a new home. That's the reality. Once you've selected an estate agent representing you, it's time to think about the best ways to showcase your property. The good news is there's plenty of serious buyers out there at this time of year. It's probably one of the best times of years to sell. And everybody says, you're joking. And it's because a lot of people don't put their house on the market at this time of year. Therefore, supply is restricted even more. But you still have that huge demand of the people still looking out there for your particular type of property. So there's golden opportunities all round and actually to capitalise on the sale at this time of year. Has huge merits. It's as busy as quiet as your estate agent wants to be, really. And at this time of year, we're particularly busy all the time, right throughout Christmas and New Year as well. Regardless if offices are closed, we're always still on the phones and on Messenger and on Facebook and social media and email and everywhere else going round about. It is a drive to get the best results for you, especially at this time of year. Great opportunities are available. So let's talk about 5 pieces of winter selling advice based on years of experience, the reality is, which can turn an early 2022 move from a dream into a reality for you. So what's the first one? Well, the first one here is probably get cozy. I mean, it literally is something as simple as ensuring your home is warm and well lit during the winter viewings can make a significant difference in how prospective buyers feel about your home. Literally, you get it yourself when you walk into somewhere. If it's absolutely Baltic, it immediately kind of closes you off and you just feel that chill. It's more focused on the cold than it is on what's round about you. So the key here is to make sure it's a cozy environment for the people actually viewing your property. So that's my first top tip. My next one would be maintenance really matters in this case. Winter weather can highlight little niggles, such as leaves blocking the gutter, overwhelming sometimes. You want to remove as many concerns a buyer might have about making your home theirs. And really, as simple as that. It is cleaning your front door. It is making sure all the leaves are cleared up from the autumn from coming off the trees and they're out of your gutters. There's nothing overflowing. There's no leaking downpipes. Stuff like that. There's no big, huge marks down the side of your building where the gutter's been leaking, and it shows that typical leak coming down there and the staining towards your actual brickwork and your outside of your property. It doesn't look good at all. So my top tip for that is make sure curb appeal is perfect, and it really does come down to maintenance. Simple thing about cleaning the windows. I was out today to do a pre-portal launch somewhere, and I actually said, you could do with cleaning the windows, and they actually said, I only cleaned them 2 days ago. But the actual weather is brutal just now, so it brings in a lot of dirt and salt from the sea air in this particular area, and it immediately covers the windows. So it's keeping your windows clean as well. People want to see out the back garden. They want to see where your place is. They want to see they can actually see their kids, if it's a family home, playing in the back garden. So great opportunity. Maintenance is a big thing at this time of year. The great outdoors is probably the next one for me. So let's talk about that. What do I mean by that? Well, if you've got a garden, don't ignore the impact winter storms on the weather can have on its visual appeal. Before putting your home on the market, tidy up the outdoor areas and keep a weekly eye on them to ensure that they're looking their best all the time. It literally is things like the leaves, things like, you get the winds and stuff like that. Stuff's blowing out your bins, and sometimes it's under the bushes. And just simple things like that, just to clear up and declutter your back garden as well. If you've got outside furniture, if it's a real sunny day, maybe you want to show it. If it's not a real sunny day, probably put a cover over it, a proper cover, and don't just leave everything looking, half baked or half done. Make it look really nice and tidy, and people will see themselves in that property itself, in that area. Next one, think flooring. Carpets and flooring can take a hammering over the winter months, especially when you're coming in from areas that have a lot of salt on the roads and stuff like that, and grit as well. And that tends to get dragged into your house, and it doesn't look as attractive when you walk in the door. So make sure you're mindful of how the flooring looks to a prospective buyer. Muddy feet as well. It's not, use foot covers. If you've got somebody viewing your house and you feel uncomfortable about them taking off their boots or their shoes or whatever it is when they're viewing, buy foot covers off Amazon. You can literally get them for a couple of pounds for maybe a pack of 50, and you can just ask them to put them over their feet. Especially if you've got colder floors like tiling and laminate flooring, because it is a big, big thing when you walk in and immediately you have that cold on your feet. It detracts from the fact that everything else going about you because your feet are too cold, especially at this time of year. If you've got underfloor heating, maybe that's a perfect opportunity to show it off. So get foot covers and just mind your flooring. Make sure it's all nice and tidy. Next one is seasonal change, and that's the final one. If your property's been in the market for a few months and it's not sold, it's pretty unlikely at this time of year, but sometimes it takes a wee bit longer than normal. You need to ask your agent to take fresh marketing photos. For example, a property on sale in the winter with pictures taken during the summer can dramatically date your home and raise concerns to prospective buyers. And I'll say that again. Properties that have got summer photographs, you maybe think they look really nice, but they look completely different from everybody else's at this time of year. And then people tend to think that there's something no right. Even though they don't understand what it is, if the penny does drop, they'll realise that your house has been in the market since the summer. And then they'll be thinking, wait a minute, why is that not sold? Or subconsciously or unconsciously, they actually think that as well. It possibly your house isn't sold because there is something wrong, and they don't realise why they think like that, but they just get that vibe. So make sure you have the seasonal changes in your appearance. I mean, we've got plenty more advice about selling in the winter months, so feel free to contact us and message us on this post if you have any questions about how to get moving successfully. And that's it, guys. Thanks very much for listening. And if you've got any more questions, please feel free to contact us. And until next time, I'm Jim Parker for Fife Properties.